because I had to fix the gate. Anyway, this is where we're at. I want to do an edging, which is going to be the bottom of my box. You can buy this from the hardware store. This bit's actually hardwood, but you can buy them softwood too. Sort of square bits like that, which I was going to put as an edging like that. This is about the same height as this top, so it would be good like that. But I didn't have enough of this to go all the way around the box. So I got a piece of that wood I was using for the front piece here, and I cut it on the bandsaw into a couple of bits. This third bit is waste, but it's a nice little strip. So I've now got enough of this to go around to the edge. So it'll be like that, and then I'll have it come around front and back, and that'll be the bottom of the box. So I'll have a piece of plywood underneath that as well. I think I actually might cut the plywood out first so I get the right size. This is a 3mm plywood, which I've clamped down at the other end. So I'm just positioning this here with my piece of wood that we've just cut out. Put that against the edge of my plywood. This edge is fairly straight. And then I know that that is where that's going to sit, so we'll just draw that along the edge. Okay, so we've got a pencil line on here now. Then we'll work out, I'm going to actually probably trim the corner of this because the corner is rounded, which I don't want. So I'll come in a little bit from that. I don't want to, so we'll probably trim that off somewhere like that. And if I keep that there, this will be my other edge. So I'll cut it there and then we'll stick this on there. So then, if we do this, so if, let's say that was in place along the edge, I'm going to put that sort of, not tight against it, but roughly against it, so it'll be a nice snug fit into the box. Make sure I've got it in about the right spot there. Yep. And that there. Yep. So now I can come along and do this edge. Just doing the outside edge this time because I only need to just cut the outside edge. And I think it was about right here, wasn't it? I'll put that on the edge. Push that up. And put that there. This will give us our other outside edge. Alright, so you can see that there, that's what I'm going to cut. I'm going to cut along the outside edge of this, and I'm just going to trim that extra bit off. I'll probably do that on the bandsaw. If it'll fit on the bandsaw, it might not. I might actually have to do some hand sawing. Let's hope I can do a nice straight cut. Just going to use some sandpaper to clean up the crummy edges here. It's fairly rough sandpaper, it's probably 60 or 80 grit, something like that. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is stick, obviously put this around all the edges. So we've got the bottom of our box, and this will sit inside that. Now, because nothing has been measured, I don't know the size of any of this, it was all just rough, and I traced around the edge. So this has probably been built slightly out of square. I didn't really square anything up. So this is probably out of square. So if I just make this perfectly square, this probably won't fit in it properly, and vice versa. So what I'm going to do now is just stick the bottom one on, or the back one on, get that in place, and then I'll put this in place and then check each one as I do it. I might then do the front one and do the sides last, and we'll do it that way.
So right now I'm just going to say, okay, well, how long do we want this bit to be? And we want it to be that long there, so I'll go and cut it. I'm cutting right on the mark, which I shouldn't have. I should have cut next to the mark, but you know, I've started it now. You know what I might do? Clamp this end. Is it going to be a way to saw? Yeah, I'll have to clamp it about there. Just to keep this a little bit steadier. So I won't snap it. I won't get close to the end. Try and get this end as well. What I might actually do is get this end too. Okay, is my clamp in the way? My clamp might be in the way of that. Actually, I can do it this way. No, the clamp's in the way. I'll keep that. Okay. I'm trying to cut as many edges from the outside as I can so it does like break away. It doesn't take an edge with it. Alright, not too bad. Now, if you were doing everything square and straight, you could just make the other one the same length as that for the front and the back. But because this thing isn't square, the front and back will probably be different. I'm just going to put this on this edge here, this piece. Line it up on the edge. I'm going to drill a couple of guide holes, put a couple of, then I'll glue it, then I'll put the screws on. So using screws to hold it in place. I'm just putting this other piece of timber here, just so it's not on an angle while I'm trying to do screws and stuff, just so it sits flat on top of it. That's what that's there for. And I'll just get this in place, and I guess I'll put one about here. How thick is this piece there? You definitely want to be drilling guide holes. Well, it's more than a guide hole. You definitely want to be drilling holes to for your screws, because especially once timber starts to get thin, the chance of it just cracking is really high. With softwood like this, it's not too bad. You can have, this is a 2mm hole and these are about, maybe they're 3mm these screws, or 2.8 or something like that. When you're using hardwood, you have to be much closer to the size of the screw, because hardwood cracks much more easily. Alright, here we go, countersink. Gotta be careful because I went overboard last time. This time I really need to stick them though, because it's going to be on the bottom and I don't want this thing wobbling around because I've got screws sticking up. It doesn't really matter what it looks like because this is the base. There we have it. I might actually put a clamp on that because it's separated there, probably, maybe because I've got that screw in the wrong spot. Anyway, I'll clamp that up. There we go, got one here. I think you're supposed to leave it about half an hour. Anyway, while that's clamps on, I'll measure up the other end. So there's a cut point. So I've just checked that with the actual pedal board up against the back of the box bottom, that this, if I put this in place, it will still fit in. So we won't get ourselves into any strife there. Otherwise I would have just adjusted this or thinned it, sanded it or something until it would fit, but much easier to do that before it's fitted than afterwards. So we're just going to put this one in place now. Same thing, screw the holes, all that jazz. touching the edge of it on there. Just do that. Round about. So, cross that bit. I'll cut that now. Left the clamps on for about 10 minutes, should be enough. We cut this while the clamps are on. It fits fairly well, I mean there's a gap. It doesn't move much side to side, I think this end's a bit rounded, which, anyway. So that's going to fit in there okay. Yep. Okay, so if you're building something that isn't square, this last step is very important. Test fit before we finish it off. So I'll put it in here. Yeah, this is the way around. I can tell this isn't the way that I designed it. Yeah, when I put this in place and drew around it and all that, I can tell you that because we've got this side. See how it's out? There's a big gap just here. I don't know if you can see it, hopefully you can see it on the camera. This side looks okay, but down the back it's out. And if I put my little piece of timber here, fits in okay at the back. This end fits in, actually goes in too far at the back. But at the front here, look how much we're over. Yeah. So, if we turn this around, go this way, we can see now that on this side, it looks okay. Go put this in here, it's almost alright. So this side's fine, once again. This top edge is out a little bit. It's almost right, it's just sticking out a little bit. So what I might do just to correct that is, it's only this bit of the block here that's touching and pushing it out, because this end it's fine. So I might just get some sandpaper and sand a little bit off this. Maybe just a few mil, and that'll be enough to let me put it in, I'm pretty sure. Okay, this might be easier to explain before I do it. So I've been sanding these blocks at both ends actually to make sure it fits, but then I thought I'm going to have the sides of the case come down and they'll have a similar border to the rest of it. And I just realised that the actual top of the board here actually sticks slightly proud of this in some places. So that's also going to be in the way once I've made the top of the box. So I'm going, this one's not as bad, but you can see this one, the top extends a little bit past the block. So I'm going to sand that fairly heavily as well on both sides. The front and back isn't too bad because this already fits within and there's a bit of a gap at the back, so we should be right there, but the sides I need to sand them. Which at the moment I'm just doing like this. It's fairly rough sandpaper. Pedal board, bottom of the box. Fits in like so. So there's nothing sticking up on here to sort of catch your foot on, or if you're dragging your foot off or anything like that. Should be pretty good. Okay, so to ensure that our top of the box is just as out of square as the bottom of the box, so that it will fit, I've got my plywood here, putting this on top, but I'm also going to put a little F here. This little F is for front. So I know that's the front of the pedal board. I'm going to put that, I'm actually going to mark this piece here with an F as well, and I know that's going to be the front, and this is also going to be the top. I'll have to sand this pencil off later. So front, top, and that's front inside, which we know. So we'll just get this lined up here. This will be pretty straight, so now I'm just going to run along the outside with a pencil. And there it is. So we'll just cut that out. It doesn't want to saw. At this stage, I just try not to snap it. Good. Eventually got there. Alright, so the top is come along a little bit more. I just did the same thing as we did with the bottom, so it's no big deal, except we've got the thicker bits of wood in, but same principle, and we just filled in. I left this a little bit bigger until I got everything in place, and I just sanded the edges down so that it's now flush with the rest of it. So, if we get the bottom, which is here, and you get the top, like this, it kind of lines up. Now, it's not square, but it's pretty much the same. The top is pretty much the same as the bottom. But if I flip it over this way, it's really out. Like, see, both sides are out there. Look how much it's out there. It's out by a lot. So it's not square, it's out of square, but they are basically square with each other, which is all that really matters, right? So, because we're not using plans, we're not measuring anything. Although we may have to measure something now. But anyway, I need this to sit a bit higher though, so we're going to do the sides now. So if we put this back in here, and I get my little kick in the knucks pedal, put that there. That's the main pedal I'm going to be using. And I'll probably sit it around about there. So with the lid on, going to sit about, I'm allowing a little bit extra, so I use this, you could just use the normal ruler, whatever, and I held it up, and it's about at 110. If I lift this up to 130 millimeters, that's about where I want to have it, so that's the height we're going to be at. So I've done 130 millimeters and set that on there, so I've just started marking it out here. So these little dashed lines I've got here are 130 mils. There you can see where I've used the ruler to mark those, 130 mils up. This line here is the width of this. So I've just got the width there. Actually, I might do it on the other side as well because we are out of square. So it's wider than this on one side, and so I've used the wider side to match this. And I've let it overhang a little bit. So when you're building things and they are out of square, you've got to check both ends to make sure you've got enough. And you just build everything slightly oversized and then sand it down. So I've made this a little bit oversized, a little bit bigger than the biggest side. And reason for that is this stuff's 3 mil thick, and when we do, like say this will be the front, when we do the side, I want it to sit inside this lip. And then I'm going to do one side, I'm going to do back, side, next side, next side, and you'll see if we make them all oversized, it'll end up fitting. So I just got the piece that I cut, pretty much just laid it on top, made sure I had a bit of excess and then drew around it. So I used that to make this piece. That's just going to sit there like that. I want to have this slightly overlap the top though, because it's not flat, it's got like little wavy bits in it from when I cut it. So if I leave it slightly hanging over the top, then when I can sand it to flush with the top, and it'll look like I actually cut it straight. Make sure I'm not going straight into the other screw holes there. I want these. putting a pencil mark along here, so I know where to put this back and it'll line up with the screw again. And I'll do it over here as well, and I can see. While that glue is drying, we're just going to get the side here. I'll just put that up against where it's going to fit. Come down here. I'm going to make this a bit wider than we need it, so we'll make a mark about there so it'll stick out the front. Then I'll make that 130 and we'll cut that out. Okay, I've cut out that right hand side, and I know I just said make it 130, but actually make it a little bit bigger. So we have to cut everything slightly bigger than we need. So we've got that one in place. Now I'm going to put the right hand side. I'm not putting, I've already cut the piece for the front here, but I'm not putting that on yet. I'm going to do this side. The reason being, if I do it this way, I can butt this up to here. Now as you can see, it doesn't meet. I'll try it the other way. Doesn't meet this way either, so I know I need to do a bit of sanding. I'll just show you. You can just get a straight piece of wood and tape, or sticky tape, or double-sided tape, or super glue, masking tape and super glue, so you don't super glue it onto the wood in case you need to change it, onto a flat beam. And you can use that to sort of flatten stuff. It works fairly well. So you can see there we've almost got rid of that gap now. This wood here has actually got a curve in, and I can see it's curving near the bottom here, so we're not going to get an exact match because it is curving, but something as simple as this can get it pretty flat for you. And you can see where it's curving away at the bottom, and that's just because this wood's curving, it's not because of this one. We could try and make a curve in this, sand a curve into it, but not really fussed. The main thing here is I want to see that this is butting into this, and then it is still overlapping this side. Then we're going to put the other side butted up to this and have it overlapping the other side, and then the last side will be the hardest because we'll have to match both sides at the same time. But doing it this way means that we can be fairly imprecise and still get a reasonable fit. What I might actually do is cheat a little bit. Sand the bit that's sticking into it. Yeah, that's a better fit. It's almost perfect now. Okay, good. A little bit of a cheat. So we have 3 sides on. Want to get this 4th side. It's the hardest side to do because the other ones we just butted it up and let it overlap. Well, now we've got 2 overlaps. So we want this to go inside the 2 overlaps. Going to touch it in there on that edge until I think it looks flat, which it does there. Then I know that this is around about right. I'm just going to try and use my body to squeeze this all in. I can't get it all the way down, but I've pretty much got my line there. And I'll just cut that. I thought I would have to do some sanding, but as it's turned out, just it fits basically, so I just need to drill the holes and glue it in place. As you can see, the edges look pretty good. Alright, so to work out what size struts I need in here to hold the lid off the bottom, what I've done is I've said, okay, I know I made these about 130 high. That's why I aim for they're a little bit higher than 130. And I've worked out the size. The way I worked out the size was, I said, okay, well this is 130. I then measured the thickness of this because that's going to sit inside there. I want this to come down and be touching on it, right? So this is, I think it was 21 millimeters total, the whole thickness of that. So have this resting on the bottom. We're going to take 21 mils off that. Then the struts are going to be touching this as well. Now this is 42 mils 6, so you take the 42 mils and the 21 mils off, and you end up with, I think it was about 65 millimeters, which is what I've got here. So if you look at that, you can hopefully see that line there. And then you imagine if that was sitting on top of that there, it's about, looks about right to my eye here. I have the camera off the tripod so we can have a bit of a look inside. You can see that I've clamped them all different ways. I've used an absolute stack of glue, way more than you probably would need to, but in some cases it's just going to be the glue. Like this was probably the worst one, because this one, it's only got glue on the bottom where it's touching this. I've got nothing on the side here because it does bow out a little bit. Now I've put this brace on top, or this piece of timber on top, so I can clamp it from top to bottom just to squeeze it down into this so it dries firmly fitting. And then we'll try, and you can probably see the bit of a gap there, this gap here, we'll try and put glue in there from on top. Okay, so this is the vase, the base in. This is a, let me turn this around. Some people call them nutsert. Oh, it's not a nutsert, it's a screw insert. A threaded insert, I think they call these ones. You can get nutserts which go on thin bits, but this is actually going to timber. It's got a thread on the inside of it and a thread on the outside. Hold this, going to drill through both. Not going to go all the way through. On the other side. Masking tape. You can get what they call drill stops, these little things you go around and you can like the Allen key and tighten them on. Yeah, if you want. I'm just going to do that as my depth, so I don't want to go any deeper than that tape. No, it's not. Alright. The other side. I've already gone deep enough on the other side. Okay. Just changed the camera angle because I think the sunlight was playing havoc with it. So, Allen key. Should be able to see it a bit better now anyway. I'm just holding the other end to try and get some pressure on this. A little bit hard to screw at the start. Once it starts going, it's pretty easy to sort of soft wood. I hope this is on screen, is it? Yeah, it is. Okay, good. Bit of glare with the sun and I can't see the screen very well. That's it flush. There you go. So now, just go, which is that goes that way, yeah. So then, we should be able to just do that. Yeah, and do that on the other side as well. Yeah, and that's basically how we shut it and lock it. So it won't fall out and we can carry it around. So we still need to fix up these bottom bits, get them down a little bit, and then put a handle on it, and then maybe we'll just paint it up to make it look at least colourful. I know it's not going to look good, but oh, I've got to sand the top bits down too, they're sticking out as well. But there you go. Thanks for watching. In our next installment we will sand it down and stain it and finish it off. If you liked it, please give it a thumbs up, and if you'd like to see more, please subscribe to Cheapskate and have fun.